Three Questions by Leo Tolstoy. Before we read the lesson, let's see what is the content or the gist of the lesson. It is about a king has three questions and he is seeking answers to them. What are the questions? Does the king get what he wants? This is the theme of the lesson. So now, Three Questions by Leo Tolstoy. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fail if he knew three things. These three things were: what is the right time to begin something? Which people should he listen to? What is the most important thing for him to do? So there was a certain king. Why it is certain king? Because the name of the king is not very important. The theme of the lesson is the three questions. That is very important here. So we are not mentioning, or the author never wanted to reveal the name of the king because it is not very important in here. So the certain king is thinking that he would never fail if he gets answers for three questions. What are the three questions? One is, what is the right time to begin something? Second, which people should he listen to? And what is the most important thing for him to do? These are the three important questions, and the king thinks that if he gets the answers for these three things, he would never fail. So what did he do? The king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these three questions. Many wise men came to the king, but they all answered his questions differently. So when they heard this large sum of money, many wise people came to the king, but what happened is that everybody said the answer in differently. There were no unanimity, or it was not similar. The answer was not one and the same. It was different from different people. In reply to the first question, some said, so now let's see what are the different opinions from the different wise men. In reply to the first question, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. Only in this way, they said, could he do everything at his proper time. Others said that it was impossible to decide in advance the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasures, and always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. This was because one man would find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others the right time for every action. But then others said that there were some things which could be urgent. These things could not wait for the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future, and only the magicians could do that. The king, therefore, would have to go to magicians. So these were the different answers for the same questions. A king has to make a timetable and follow it strictly. Some said that king should have council of wise men to advise him, and to know the things in advance, the king should go to the magicians. These were the different answers to the same questions. Now, in their answers to the second question, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. And second question was that whom he should listen to. So here people started telling that some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. Counselors are the members in the council. Council we have seen earlier, and now the counselors are the members in the council. The others said the priests. A few others chose the doctors, and yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary. So there also, for the same question, there were different answers. Some said it is the counselors whom he should listen to. Others said the priests he should listen to. And a few others chose doctors. You listen to the doctors, or you take advices from doctors. And yet others said that the soldiers who are looking after the country that you should listen to. Now the third question. To the third question, some said science, others chose fighting, and yet others religious worship. What is the third question? What is the most important thing for him to do? So many people said that the important thing the king should do is to progress science in the country, and others said we need to learn fighting so that we can protect the country, and yet others religious worships. So others said that we need to look into the religious worships for the prosperity of the country. As the answers to his questions were so different, the king was not satisfied. Now all the three questions were answered by different people in very different manner, so that he was not at all satisfied. As the answers to his questions were so different, the king was not satisfied and gave no reward. Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. Since he did not get the proper answer for his three questions, he did not give the reward. Instead, what he did is that he thought of seeking the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. Hermit, a person who lives alone and leads a simple life. So he is a hermit. The hermit lived in a wood which he never left. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and went on alone. The hermit was living in a wood where he was leading a very simple life, and he never entertained any big people. He will just see the people who are very, very simple. So that, knowing this, king had put on very ordinary clothes, and he left his horse far away from his hermit's house, and he walked to his hut. As the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. As he reached hermit's house, he could see that this hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king and continued digging. He is not at all bothered who's coming, who's going. He just greeted. When he saw a person coming towards him, he just greeted, and he went on doing his own work of digging the ground. The hermit was old and weak, and as he worked, he breathed heavily. He is weak, he is old, so he was breathing heavily because he was working. The king went up to the hermit and said, "I've come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most? And what affairs are the most important?" Here the question has become direct questions. So here it is just changed into the narrator, I. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most? And what affairs are the most important? Affairs meaning what are the things that are most important, or matters, or business. The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He is not at all interested. He was interested only on his work, and he is not bothered about a person around even. The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. "You are tired," said the king. "Let me take the spade and work in your place." So towards the question of the king, he doesn't know whether he might be knowing if this person is the king of the place, but he never showed the recognition of this person as king. He never bothered about him. He was grossly engaged in his own work, digging the ground, and he just greeted, and then he never bothered to answer the questions, to listen the questions, etc. So the hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. "You are tired," said the king. "Let me take the spade and work in your place." So he was actually persuading. The king was trying to persuade or to make him do as king wanted, to get the questions from the answers from the hermit. He was just trying to help him. So he said that you look very tired. Let me take the spade and work in your place. So hermit said, thanks, thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his spade. Then he sat down on the ground. See children, now you have to look into the picture here and see it is a comprehensive part where you can see the spade, you can see the ground, you can see the king in the simple dress, not in the royal cloth, and see when you explain about the hermit, you can just explain looking at the picture. If you have that in your mind, you can just explain he is old, he is weak, and he was digging the ground, the hut, etc., etc., and he lived in a small wood, etc., are all there summed up. So if you just concentrate on the picture given, you will be able to answer many questions. So the pictures in the narrative stories are important. That will help you out writing the answers. Now, when the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his questions. So now the king had taken the spade and he started digging the ground. After doing 2 beds, beds means 2 patches of the land, he stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit gave no answer but stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade, and said, now you rest and let me work. So hermit still is not at all interested in giving any answer. He just stretched his arm out to get the spade, and he said, now you take rest and let me work. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig, because king still did not get the answer from the hermit. So he did not give the spade back to him, but he started continuing to dig. We have seen the past tense of the word dig, dug there. So dig, past tense is dug. Now, 1 hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, I came to you, wise men, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me so, and I will return home. So here now the king started getting irritated, because he asked many a times now the questions. The hermit did not bother to give an answer. And now he see now time passed, it became evening. 1 hour passed. He started digging, and now 1 hour passed, and then one more other hour passed off. So 1 hour passed, then another means 1 hour passed, second hour passed. Likewise, the sun went down behind the trees and it became evening, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, now he is almost disappointed that this hermit is not going to give him the answer. So he had left, he kept the spade on the ground and said, I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me so, and I'll return home. So if you cannot just give me, I came here to get the answers for my 3 questions, which are very important for me. And if you can give me no answer, if you cannot just give me an answer to that, please tell me so. Tell me that, and I'll return home. For that also, hermit is not answering, but he is looking far, and he could see somebody's running. So he said, here comes someone running, said the hermit. So this is the first part of the lesson. Now let's look at the comprehension check. Why did the king want to know answers to 3 questions? Here, this question is a very simple, direct question. You would find the answer for this question in the first paragraph itself. One thing that you need to be careful is that the tense in which the question is, the answer should be in the same tense. So here the question is in simple past tense. Why did the king want to know answers to 3 questions? So here you need to answer the question. You can begin the answer from the question itself. The king dash to know answers to 3 questions, where the verb want should be converted into or changed into simple past tense. And the king dashed to know answers to 3 questions. Since the question begins with why, you need to put because. So the answer will be the king dash want should be in simple past. The king dash to know answers to 3 questions because. Now find out the answer from the textbook and write it there. Now second one is an MCQ question, multiple choice question. Only those who are reading the text thoroughly will get the proper answer for MCQ questions. For that, you are advised to read the lesson as many times as possible so that you will be able to answer any question, not only MCQ, any question which comes in. And there you may not be worried about your grammatical construction of the sentence if you read as many times, because the answers will come automatically correct because you have read it in enough time. So this is my advice, children. Read the lesson so far as many times as possible and be ready for the next part in the next class. Next class we will be completing the second part, as well as we will go into the question answers, so that we will complete the lesson within 2 periods. Thank you. Have a nice day.